The live is on. We are live Facebook to my left, live on Instagram to my right. We started this one a little bit later today. I was working on some other things and we had to figure out what we was going to talk about. But now we got it. We know what our topic is. Y'all see it pinned already. We see it. You see it on Facebook. You'll see it down below. On IG, you see it in the title. You also see the pinned comment here. Young Porsche was good. You got your book. Shout out to everybody who got their books. Shout out to everybody who ordered a book and is on the way. We got Santa Monica in the house. If y'all coming in, go ahead, shout yourself out. I'll shout you out back before we get started. If you shout yourself out before I get into this material, we're going to get started in a moment. Y'all see what the topic is. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. It is Sunday. I'm just checking the date. I know that it's Sunday, June 28th. In 2 more days, ladies and gentlemen, 2 more days, we're going to be halfway through the year 2020. I hope y'all been paying attention to that. I know we had the COVID-19. I know we had all this unrest going on in America, this upheaval for the last 2 months or the last month. Listen, we almost halfway through this year. All right, New York City is in the building. Shout out to New York. Listen, y'all, make sure you are keeping track of what you need to do as well. I know the COVID-19, maybe that affected you. That has something to do with what you're doing. I know all this upheaval going on has something to do with it, but make sure you are checking yourself for what you said you were going to do in 2020, who you said you were going to be this year, and what results you said you were going to produce. Don't forget about that while you're paying attention to anything else that's outside of your business. But anyway, today's topic. Actually, before we get to the topic, let me introduce myself. Those of y'all don't know me. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre all day, former 9-year. Actually, before I say basketball player, first let me say author of 27 books. Former 9-year professional athlete. We got to mention the books first. That's what I'm doing now. I've done 4 TED Talks. I'm a keynote speaker, coach, consultant, trainer, product creator, content producer, podcast host, video maker, writer. I already told you, author, copywriter. I do a whole lot of things, as you can tell. There's a lot of other things I didn't even mention there. I'm not even going to mention because we ain't got time for all that. But I do all this under this brand and business that I created, company that I'm the CEO of, that is called Work on Your Game Incorporated. One of my books is called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking a pro athlete mindset and teaching you how to apply that mentality to your business, your sport, and your life. And it goes further than mindset because I give you tangible tools to actually make those things happen, and real frameworks that you can apply right now to anything that you do. And work on your games for 3 types of people. Number 1, you need more game. Number 2, you need to get better at performing your game. Number 3, you need more recognition for your game. So if you're one of those 3 types of people, you're in the right place. And today's topic is the higher the competition, the less the skill actually matters. I thought of this topic. This topic came specifically from the sports world. This is something that I've talked about to athletes for years, especially athletes who are at the amateur level, but they have the ambition of wanting to get to the professional level. When you're an amateur and playing your sport, any sport, by the time you get to the pro level, you probably have developed a whole lot of skill, a whole lot of ability. You probably had to have started with a baseline level of a significant baseline level of talent. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be eligible to get to the professional level. So getting skill is a good thing. Okay, if you're an amateur trying to gain as much skill as possible so you go to the next level, continue to do that. But understand that all the skill that you develop at the amateur level, all that it does for you when you get to the pros, all it does is actually allow you to get to the pros. That's what skill and talent does for you in the sports world. And often in the business world, any other kind of professional world, that's what it does. Developing skill and talent gives you entree into the professional level. It lets you get in the door and it lets you stay in the room. But skill and talent alone is not going to separate you from everybody else once you get to the pro level. And I'm going to explain to you why that is. Because when you get to the pro level, the game becomes a lot more mental than just merely physical as it is in the amateur ranks. Point number 1, in the sports world, and again, we're going to analogize this to the every other world out there outside of sports. But again, this topic was rooted in the sports world. So that's why I'm talking about sports. And let's say high school level, if you're playing any sport, basketball, football, tennis, baseball, your physical advantages and your talent can make you a winner or loser no matter how hard you work. All right, you could be the least hardworking person in the room, but if you're more talented than everybody else, if you got more physical resources than everyone else, you could dominate that just because you're better than everybody. Just because you got more skill, just because you have more ability than everybody else there. You're more talented. You were just blessed with the genes that other people don't have, and you don't even have to work that hard. All right, your talent and your natural inclinations or your natural instincts, whatever it is you want to call it, that makes you good at what you do, that can make you stand out because there's so much variation in the amateur ranks. In the amateur ranks of anything, you got people who shouldn't even be out there in the first place, and you got people who may be so good. It's like, damn, I've never seen anybody that good come around here. But there's a wide gap between the best and the worst in the amateur levels of a whole lot of things that you do in life. So when you're up here at the top of that wide gap, you could dominate the people who are down at the bottom or even the people in the middle because you're just so much better than them. You don't have to have really that much mental tools. You don't really have to know what you're doing. You don't have to have a lot of, knowing how to apply your skills to maximum benefit. You don't even have to be efficient. You don't even have to work that hard. You can just be better than everybody. Now, if you happen to work hard and be smart and all those other things, that would be great. But understand, it may even be hard to diagnose. If I'm watching you from the outside looking in, just looking at you, and you're playing against somebody who you're so much better than, or you're competing against someone who you have so many more resources than what they have, it's going to be hard to tell if you're even that good. I can't tell because you're going against somebody who's overmatched no matter who they be playing against. And the fact that you're, let's say they're a level 2 at skill, and you're like a level 97 in talent, all right, how are they going to compete? They can't. So you might be a level 50. You would still be dominating a person who's a level 2. But at a level 97, it's hard for me to tell the difference between a 50 and a 97 when you're playing against a level 2. So that's the thing about the amateur level, that the gap that can be so wide is really hard to tell. It's hard to gauge who's actually good and who's not. This is why, if y'all watch professional sports, you see athletes get drafted to baseball, football, basketball. I don't watch hockey, but hockey, I'm sure this is true as well. You'll see players who dominate at the amateur level and they're killing it. You're like, damn, these people, this guy or this girl is killing it at the amateur level of their sport. But then when they go to the pros, they're not that good anymore. They don't really dominate like that anymore. Maybe they become complete bums in the pros. Maybe they don't even have a career in the pros, even though by the way they performed in the amateur ranks, you would have thought they would become a Hall of Famer in the pros. And we've seen this happen with many professional athletes. Again, the sport that I follow the closest being basketball, I've seen this happen with many players, and any of you, whatever sports you follow, I'm sure you've seen this happen. And why is that? That is because at the amateur level, it is hard to tell how good someone's going to be as a pro because they're competing against amateurs. It's hard to tell how good they're going to be against pros. When you're competing against amateurs, you may be very confident. You may look very good. You may be able to do things that are not going to translate to the pro level, but it's an inexact science is the word that people use, the phrase that people use when talking about choosing amateurs to come to the pro level, because you never know who's going to pan out or who's not. Now, there are some who we call can't miss, can't miss prospects, like Shaquille O'Neal was a can't miss prospect. LeBron James, can't miss prospect. And there have been plenty of them, but there are some can't, and they actually pan out and become great. And there are some can't miss prospects who actually miss. Or some can't miss prospects don't actually come through and become as great as we thought they were going to become, simply because it's an inexact science. You can't always tell when you're looking from the amateur ranks to the pro ranks. Because if it was easy to tell, if it was a real science that could be broken down and studied, and you could come up with an exact formula that always worked, there would never be any draft busts. There'd never be any player who gets drafted and everybody's like, damn, wait, maybe they shouldn't have drafted that guy because he ended up not very good. Or maybe that girl shouldn't have went to the pros because she wasn't that good by the time she got to the pros. If it was a science, there would be no draft bust. Everybody would work out. And the order of the draft, you can look back 20 drafts ago and the order would be exactly perfect based on how good everyone ended up being. But since that doesn't happen, we know that doesn't happen. That's because the gap at the amateur level is too wide for you to even tell. Point number 2. Today's topic is the higher the competition level, the less the skill level actually matters. In the college and pro levels, now I was just talking about the amateur levels, let's say high school and down, but college is still amateur technically, but maybe soon college players can get paid for playing their sport, at least the ones who actually make money, like football first and basketball second. You can actually make money for playing your sport. So let's say that maybe one day that's going to happen. At the college and the pro level, everybody has game. Now, not everybody who plays college is going to make it to the pros because not enough jobs, but everybody has game who's at the college level. Everybody who at the pro level, they have game. At that point, the game becomes a lot more mental. Now, can you still, at the college level, be so much better than everybody else that you just blow them out of the water? Yes, you can. There are some examples of people who've just been so good that they have just pushed everybody out of their way simply because they were so damn good at the college level. But often at the college level, there's a lot of skill there. So you got to be able to do something. You got to have some idea of what you're doing, some control over your abilities, some grasp of your talent, and be able to do something with that talent to produce a result. And at the pro level, everybody got game. Everybody has game. Everybody got talent. Everybody can do things. Everyone's been dominant at some level probably before by the time they get to the pro level. So you got to have a lot more than just talent. a lot more than just raw ability, a lot more than just genetics to do something at the pro level, because everybody got game, and that's how they got there. All right. So next time you watch a professional sport and you see a competition amongst professional athletes or professionals in anything, professional lawyers, professional business people, professional anything, whatever you want to name, people who are professionals, where there's an actual level to it, where you have to achieve certain things to get there. And I'm using sports as one of the best examples simply because sports is a finite number of jobs at the professional level in sports. Everybody can't become a professional football player or basketball player, or I don't know how it is in tennis and golf. I think there's a limit to how many people actually get to make it onto the tours, right? So there's a limit. Everybody can't make it. No matter how many people are good, everybody cannot make it. There is competition to get a finite number of jobs. Whereas opposed to, let's say in the law profession, anyone can technically become a lawyer if you go to law school, you get the degree, and you pass the bar at whatever state you're in. You are qualified to practice law. That's the actual term. Doesn't mean you're actually a lawyer. You could be qualified to practice law and you can go become a law professor. Or you can start LegalZoom.com. You don't have to work as a lawyer day to day, like getting hired by the hour, but you are legally allowed to practice law. But anybody could do that. Me and you could both go to law school, pass the state bar exam, whatever state we're in, and become technically lawyers. Anybody can do it. So there could be 1 million new lawyers tomorrow if 1 million people passed all the requirements. But there cannot be 1 million players in the NBA because there are not 1 million jobs in the NBA. So that's why I like using sports as an example when I talk about the pro level, specifically with this, because everybody can't get in no matter, again, how much game you got, how much work you put in, how much time you invested, all that, the things people have to say about why they think they deserve a position. So at the pro level, everybody got game. Everybody had to have game to get there. If you're a lawyer and you're going to court and it's you against that other lawyer over there, all right, they got game. All right, you might think you're better than them. That doesn't mean they don't have game. All right, you could be better than somebody and both of y'all have game, but they didn't get there by being a bum. All right, they didn't get there just by being in the right place at the right time. That might have been a part of it, but they had to have some game to get to the spot that they're at. When you're coaching, all right, you got to have some game. If you're a coach in the business world, say you're a business coach or you're a life coach, or I like to use sports coach because in sports coaching is you go against the other person. Business coaches don't compete against each other, not directly at least. In the coaching world, let's say there's one football team against the other football team. That coach on the other sideline, they got game. All right, now you might think you're better than them. You might think you're smarter. You might have more experience, but they got some level of game. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. All right, so everybody has game when you get to the pro level, and understand that it is not just going to be about your skills and your talent that's going to separate you from everyone else when you're competing against fellow pros. And this is something that any pro out there, no matter how good you are and how long of a winning streak you've been on, do not get arrogant in thinking that you could just dominate anyone because you've been winning. You won your last 10 fights in boxing. It doesn't mean you don't have to prepare for fight number 11. You're about to go up against a boxer. All right, and one punch can end it all for you. If you're a coach, don't think because your team won the last 2 championships that the third one's just going to be easy because y'all won the last 2. Every other coach out there is gunning for you, and they're professionals too. So they're watching you. They see everything you're doing. You're the champion, so you can't hide. It's not like you're a secret. They're out there plotting against you to beat you because they see that you're the one who's winning. So when you're going against other pros, expect them to be just as ready for you as you're going to be ready for them. Maybe more ready if you've been taking them lightly, or if you start to fall back on your preparation or to doing the things that got you to where you are to be at the point that you're at right now. Every professional has something. All right, y'all got what I'm saying? Every professional has something. And boxing is a good example of this, simply because in boxing, you only got to fall asleep for 1 second. You only got to make one mistake, and one punch could end your winning streak. All right, one punch could alter your life. It could alter the way your brain works later on down the line. In football, it's a similar thing with the way that you can get hit. And basketball is not really like that. I mean, but you can still lose the game. Let's say the basketball tournament, college basketball tournament, that can happen. It's a single elimination, you're done. In the basketball tournament, TBT, some of y'all know about that. Same thing. You fall asleep for 1 second, the game is completely over. So you got to be careful at the professional level, thinking that your skill and your talent is going to be all you need to get by, especially if that's worked for you at the amateur level. At the pros, everybody has something. That's the thing you need to keep in mind. Everybody got something, otherwise they would not be in the room. Point number 3. Now, does all this mean that you as an amateur should stop working on your game and only focus on the other elements of the game? What are those other elements? Those will be discipline, showing up every day doing the work, confidence, the level that you believe in yourself. And you might think that when someone's a pro that they absolutely have to believe in themselves, right? Not necessarily, because when you're going up against other pros, somebody's going to lose. So you might start to see your confidence slip because you're not winning as often as you were used to winning. So that confidence of showing up every single day, that's a byproduct of discipline. When you're showing up every day doing the work, I should have said confidence of being willing to put yourself out there boldly and authentically. When you're showing up every day, that discipline, one of the byproducts of discipline is you become more confident because you're doing the things that you need to do over and over and over again. You develop confidence as something by doing it consistently. That's what confidence is defined as, belief in your ability to do something. So someone says, well, how can I believe in something? I've never done it before. Well, what you do, first of all, is you prepare as well as you can to be ready to do that thing. Then mentally, you can visualize yourself actually doing it. Then you got to get out there and actually do it. Now, does that mean it's all going to work perfectly like the yellow brick road the first time you try it? Maybe. Maybe not. But if it doesn't, you got to keep showing up. And that's why you need the third element, which is mental toughness. Your willingness and ability to keep showing up, doing the things that you're supposed to do, even if it didn't work out last time, even if you haven't yet gotten the success. And to put all this stuff into action, you need personal initiative. That's the fourth element of the work on your game philosophy, which is moving yourself to go take action and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. A lot of times in life, people sit around and just hope that something happens, wait for something to happen, hope somebody else does something to make things happen for them instead of doing it for themselves. The fourth element of this whole philosophy is personal initiative, your personal initiative to initiate. You know what initiate means, right? It means to start something, to begin something, to be the one who starts the fire instead of waiting for somebody else to start the fire. And everybody's sitting around waiting for somebody to do something. You're the one who does something. That's what personal initiative is about. That's how you put all these elements into place for this particular topic we're talking about here. But those four elements apply to everything that I talk about. So again, what I'm saying is, as an amateur, since I'm telling you that your skill and talent level is not the thing that's going to keep you in the game as a pro, does that mean you should stop working on your game and stop developing skill and stop trying to get better? Of course, it does not mean that. You should keep working on your game, keep developing skill, keep getting better, because if you don't have game, skill, talent, ability to produce, you will never make it to the pros, let alone will you stay in the pros. You can't get to the pros without skill and talent and game and ability to perform. All right, you need that just to get to the, you know how you get to, you go anywhere and there's a long line, like at the DMV or maybe nowadays at the grocery store. You go to grocery stores online now because everybody got to wear a mask and everyone can't go in at the same time. That's how they're doing it now. So you got, just to get in line, you got to have skill. All right, you can't even stand in a line in the pros if you don't have skill. So you need skill to get there to be eligible, but just because you're standing in line doesn't mean you're getting in. Everybody follow what I'm saying? Just because you're standing, you got to qualify to get in line, and just because you get in line does not mean you qualify to go in the building. So it's levels to this shit. All right, y'all heard that before, right? So the skill level, keep working on it, keep developing it. But once you have the requisite skill level, understand that you do what you got to do to maintain that skill and enhance it. But at the same time, you're going to need the mental game tools. And at the pro level, the game becomes mental. Since everyone has talent, what separates one person from the next is not how much talent they have, because usually the gap in talent, whereas in the amateur level, the gap is like this. The best talents are up here and the worst talents are all the way down here. They could destroy these guys even without trying. At the pro level, the gap in talent is like this. The best guy's here and the worst guy's here. The worst guy could beat the best guy any given day. All right, the worst team in the NBA could beat the best team in the NBA on any given night if that best team doesn't show up, because that worst team is going to be excited because they're playing against the best team. All right, they'll show up. They can win that game, even though they've had a terrible record. But it's not because, and sometimes people may wonder, well, how did the worst team beat the best team? The reason the worst team can beat the best team in the pros, not in the amateur levels, that usually doesn't happen. But in the pros, you know why it happens? Because it's not a talent difference that made the worst team so bad. They're not bad because they lack talent. They're bad because they don't have the mental game tools as a group. The mental game tools aren't there. They're not disciplined. They're not confident. They're not focused. They're not mentally tough. They're not showing up every day doing what they're supposed to do. And therefore, with all that talent, they are failing. But it's not because they don't have skill. It's not because they don't have game. And that's why on that one night that they decide to get focused and be disciplined and believe in themselves and be mentally tough, they can play against the defending champions who's 50 games ahead of them in the standings and beat them. How is that? Did they just become talented all of a sudden and then they lose their talent and go right back to being trash the very next game? How is that? No, they didn't all of a sudden become talented, and they didn't lose their talent. It's just they decided to get focused. They decided to apply these 4 principles right here. Discipline, showing up every day, confidence, believing in yourself, mental toughness, keeping on the program even when everything's not working, and personal initiative, making things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. When you can apply these 4 tools with actual skill, with resources, with talent, with know-how, with ability, that's when things start working. Everybody understands. So it's not just the mental game, and it's not just the physical resources. It's a combination of both. You need to combine them both. If you want to be a pro at what you do and you want to be great at what you do, you must have the ability to deliver, but you also got to have the mental tools to activate it. Now, if you're missing either one, you're going to come up short and you will remain an amateur. Now, if you want to stay an amateur, then that's fine. I can't help you. But if you want to get to the pros and you want to stay a pro at anything that you do, you must apply these principles. And anyone listening to this right now who is already a pro, you can co-sign everything that I said because I know what I'm talking about. So now, I'm going to tell you how you can get 2 of these books right here in front of me for free right now. Then I'm going to recap the points that I just gave you. And if there is any questions, if you got a question, go ahead and post it in the comment section. I will address it right now. First of all, this book right here is called The Mirror of Motivation. It's subtitled The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. I wrote this book. This is one of 4 books in my what I call a bulletproof bundle. But I wrote this book and took this book separately from the bundle and offer it to you for free because I want to give people an easy first step entry point into getting to know Dre Baldwin. All right, this is the first book you would start with. You don't know nothing about me, never heard of me, have no idea if I'm any good. You know I'm good because you just listened to me. But if you still don't have any idea, you're still not sure, start with this book right here. This book is made for anyone who is ready to step into a new mental approach to yourself and to your life. Is going to change your actions, which will change your results. If that's what you're looking for, I can help you. And if you don't want to do that, you don't want to change your actions, you don't want to change how you're being as a person, you don't want to get different results in your life, then it's all good. I can't help you. But if you do want that, this book will help you, and I made it free, so you don't even have to think about it. All you got to do is cover the shipping. Get the book at mirrorofmotivation.com. You'll see the title. Just take the "the" out, mirrorofmotivation.com. You get this book free now. Just pay for the shipping. This book right here, it's called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This is the book, not a book, but the book for anyone who wants to play professional basketball overseas, even if you've been overlooked, underrated, never had a chance, but you know you have the game. You know you got the skill. You know you got the talent and the mentality to play pro basketball. Go to balloverseas.com. I don't have to tell you too much about this one. If you want to play basketball overseas, you already know this book is for you. You see the title, Overseas Basketball Blueprint, 237 pages, everything you need, balloverseas.com. The book is paid for by me. All you got to do is cover the shipping. I'm not even going to charge you for the book. So that's mirrormotivation.com, balloverseas.com. I'll tell you about this book right here again in a minute. Let me recap these points, which is the higher your skill level, the higher the competition, the less your skill level matters. It becomes a mental game when you get into the pros. Number 1, at the amateur levels, the lowest level of the amateur ranks, there is such a huge gap in talent and ability between the best and the worst that you could dominate the worst competition even if you're not trying, even if you don't play hard, even if you don't show up, simply because you're just so much better than them. It's easy. You can do it in your sleep. But when you get to a little bit higher level, maybe even a college level, and I made this concept specifically from the sports perspective, but even if you're not an athlete, you can still apply this. At the highest levels of the amateur ranks, in basketball, we have college basketball. Everybody got game. All right, everybody has some game. They may not be super talented, they might not become pros, but everybody got something. At the pro level, everybody got something. Everybody has some kind of talent. Everyone has some specialized skill. Everyone is there for a reason. So when you get to the pros, you are not going to dominate just off of talent, no matter how much you got. You could be the most talented person in the room. Doesn't mean you're always going to win. You might not win hardly at all. I mean, how many pro athletes have you seen where, let's just say in basketball, they've been really good and doing their thing and putting up stats, but then the media starts saying, well, when is this guy going to win a championship? Shaquille O'Neal had that for a while. When is Shaq ever going to win a championship? Then LeBron had it for a while. When is LeBron ever going to win a championship? And some players would be, when are they going to ever make the playoffs? Or when are they going to get out of the first round? And even though they have talent and they're putting up stats and they're good, eventually people say, well, why aren't you beating everybody? And that's because at the pro level, you will not beat everybody just because you're good, because everybody's good. You have to have something else that you bring to the table besides being good. And that's where you need that 4-part philosophy that I just explained to you. Discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative. Without those, combined with talent, you are not going to get to the highest level. Again, you must combine the two, not just one. And number 3, does this mean that you should stop focusing on working on your game and your skills and just focus on mindset? No, you need both. To become a pro, to be eligible to be a pro, you need a lot of game and a lot of talent. To get into the room and stay a pro, you need game and talent, and you got to combine that with the mindset. You need all of it. You cannot show up with missing any of these or you will lose. Everybody follow what I just said. If you're missing any of these, you will lose. You need skill and you need the mindset. Now, let me see what we got here in the comment section. If anybody got anything, I think I saw a comment or two come through. So if you got one, go ahead and post it right now. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dre All Day. If you came into the middle of this live, I do these lives usually every day, 5:15 p.m. Eastern. I do post this to if you're on Facebook, y'all can just scroll down the page. All the videos are on there. And there's a videos tab on Facebook now. My Facebook is /work on your game, by the way, for those who didn't know. Facebook /work on your game. I'm leaving out the .com. I'm just assuming you know that. And on Instagram, I put it on my IGTV. So it might not be in my regular feed, but if you just click on the little button for IGTV on my profile, you'll see it. Young Portia, I appreciate you. Glad you got those books. Let's see here. Dim Stylion, what's going? Poor said, same way, pretended to be the best player on the team and went crazy. That's what's up. You use that super you. That's what I talk about in my book, The Super You. And also got a chapter on the super you, on confidence in this book, Work on Your Game. Poor said, I lost the mirror book halfway through it. We'll get you another one. All you gotta do is cover the shipping. Poor said, we gonna ball one day. All right. Saleh said, Conor McGregor said, talent doesn't exist. Well, this ain't Conor McGregor's live stream, so you're gonna have to talk to him about that. So I said, even though I'm a shooting specialty, have natural core muscles, I feel like my height is holding me back on talent. If you're playing basketball, well, your height might be holding you back. Height is a talent in basketball. I'm not sure there's any medicine or any medical procedure that can fix that right now. So you're gonna have to work with what you got. That's the game. In basketball, height is a talent. It is part of the package that you need to get to a higher level. Height will help. Hoop Loud says, Loudy, would you count posting on YouTube and dominating as being an amateur and paid speaking gig? The pros, no, I wouldn't. You can't always, these don't always translate directly from the business world to the sports world. But with that, posting on YouTube and dominating is not necessarily amateur, because there's people who do that as full-time jobs. Right? Any people who post YouTube and they just do YouTube, I mean, it may branch out into other things, but there are people who do YouTube for a living. So they get the ad revenue. Maybe they sell some merch. They have, I don't know what else these people be doing. There's a lot of creative stuff going on out here. But paid speaking gigs, the pros, well, yeah, in the business world, again, the parallels are not always direct between the sports and the business world, not in everything. In this particular topic, they're not always so direct. But a paid speaking gig can be pro. But professional means, the technical definition is someone's full-time paid occupation. So if you're doing it full-time and getting paid for it, that's your full-time work, then you're a professional, technically. My definition, the Work on Your Game definition of professional, is that plus someone who shows up every single day, gets the job done. So it's a combination of two things. Young Poor said, people drop their height. All right, so Slobodan over there on Facebook here, he said, you helped me a lot 7-8 years ago when I was still playing. All the best and keep it up. I appreciate it. Slobodan Vetkovic. What country are you checking in from, man? You got to tell me what country that is. Wade Tinigam checking it over on Facebook as well. So this book right here, I'll tell y'all one more thing. This is my book, Work on Your Game. That framework that I just told you, discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative. Talk about it here in this book. This is where I go over the entire philosophy that I created that took me from sitting at the end of the bench, my 1 year as high school basketball player, to signing my first overseas basketball contract in just 5 years. It took me 5 years from the end of my high school bench to signing my first overseas contract at the age of 23. Leaving basketball after 9 years in that, going into the business world, transitioning into being the CEO of my own company that happens to be called Work on Your Game. You can get this book at workonyourgamebook.com. 12-chapter book where I go over not only that mentality framework, but how I use it in my own life, and I teach you how to use it in your life. This is not an athlete book. This is not you don't have to be an entrepreneur to use this book, but if you are an athlete or entrepreneur, of course it'll help you. But if you are not, the frameworks in this book are for anyone who wants to. Here's the subtitle: Use the pro athlete mindset to dominate your game in business, sports, and life. The mindset. All right, you don't have to be an athlete to use the mindset to dominate your game in business, sports, and life. WorkOnYourGameBook.com. When you order this book, at that link, I'm gonna give you over $1,200 in digital bonuses free immediately as soon as you order the book. So you'll have access to the bonuses now while you wait for the book to come in the mail. That's WorkOnYourGameBook.com. Everybody got that? We just ordered another 20, 30 copies from the publisher of this last week because we need more because we got to ship those out. So y'all know what it is. Anybody order anything from me, you know we got it on the way, or you might already got it. I'm gonna tell you one more time, mirrormotivation.com, balloverseas.com. These books are both free. I've already paid for them. All you do is cover the shipping. Mirror of Motivation, you see it right there, .com, balloverseas.com. You can't forget those. All right, and this one, workonyourgamebook.com. I do these lives every single day, 5:15 p.m. Eastern. For anybody who doesn't know, what else is there? Work on Your Game University. Oh, that's one more thing. That's the next step. After you get the books, I got a bunch of books. I've written 27 of them. Work on Your Game University is the next step. That is the membership where you get access to my daily masterclass. If you like what I just did, and I do these pretty much off the top of my head, how good do you think it would be when I get to script these out, not word for word, but I actually plan them out and know exactly what I'm going to talk about and give you examples and stories, calls to action, tangible ways to apply them. How good do you think that'll be? And how good do you think it would be if you got to access all 1,500 of them that I've already done? And yes, that is not an exaggeration. I've done over 1,500 masterclasses that are better than what you just listened to. And they're all in a smartphone app that is specifically made exclusively for members of Work on Your Game University. If that sounds like something you would even think about being interested in, here's how I'll make it easy for you. Your first 2 weeks as a student at Work on Your Game University, right there, it's free. All right, you see how I make things free? Because I don't want you to have to think about it. Your first 2 weeks are free at Work on Your Game University. So go to workonyourgameu.com. The first 2 weeks are free. You have nothing to lose. If you don't feel like you're getting your money's worth and it's free, then you can cancel. If you want to stay, you can stay. It's $27 a month. If you keep it, it's free the first 2 weeks no matter what you do. So if you want to take all the first 2 weeks and then just cancel and take your 2 weeks free, that's fine. I won't be mad at you. All right, you should be mad at yourself if you do that because you're the one who's going to miss out on the education. WorkonYourGameUniversity.com. That's where you get my daily masterclass. I'm telling you, it's amazing. That's why I've been doing it for 1,500 days straight. If it was whack, I would have stopped doing it. All right, I ain't going to keep doing something that's whack. 1,500 days in a row, and I got another 1,500 on the way. Listen, I don't even know what else to say. Work on Your Game University. If you don't know, now you know. But I know a lot of colleges not going to be opening up in the fall because of COVID-19, and they still going to be charging you full price. Listen, Work on Your Game University gives you better bang for your buck. You don't have to leave your house. You can still be social distancing. You ain't got to worry about nobody else coughing on you or nobody else having that rony roam when you're in class. Work on Your Game University. I got you covered. You get all of it right there on your smartphone. Who could ask for anything more? I can't make you a better deal than that. Everybody, work on your game. Dre all day. We out.